All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about a totally different way to think about starting new goals. It's this idea called the continuous calendar, and it's all about choosing real motivation over just waiting for some perfect day on the calendar. You know the feeling, right? We tell ourselves, okay, I'll start that new project or that new workout plan on Monday, or maybe the first of the month. And of course, the big one, January 1st. But let's just ask a really simple question. Why? Why do we actually wait? Well, the answer is all tangled up in the psychology behind what a lot of people call the fresh start feeling. It's a powerful thing. I mean, think about it. Ever since we were kids, we're kind of taught to see time in chapters. There's the new school year, birthdays, even just the start of a new week. It's this cultural rhythm, and we get conditioned to use these dates as these convenient, socially approved reset buttons. They basically give us permission to start over. And yep, this whole thing actually has a name. It's called the fresh start effect. It's that little psychological kick we get from these time-based landmarks. They help us mentally disconnect from our past mistakes and imagine this new, better version of ourselves. And that creates this huge, powerful, but often temporary surge of motivation. But, and this is the big catch, that psychological reset feels amazing, but the excitement it drums up, that's not the same thing as deep, sustainable motivation. Excitement is just a spark. Real motivation, that's a slow, steady burn. And that brings us right to the core of the issue, the big difference between relying on some external ritual and tapping into real, actual internal motivation. The kind of motivation that really sticks, the kind that leads to lasting change, it just doesn't care if it's a Tuesday afternoon or New Year's Day. It comes from inside you. It's a personal decision, not some appointment you set with your calendar. So the true starting line isn't a date. It's more like an internal tipping point. It's that exact moment when the pain or the frustration of where you are right now becomes greater than the comfort of just doing nothing. That's it. That's when you're actually ready. Okay, so if the old way doesn't really work long-term, what's the alternative? Let's dive into what's called the continuous calendar mindset. So what is this exactly? It's really a mental shift. Instead of seeing your life like a book with all these separate chapters, you start to see time as one single unbroken line. There aren't any special days. The right time to make a change is simply the moment you feel that internal signal that says, okay, let's go. So, how do you get this mindset? It pretty much boils down to 3 steps. First, you have to learn to recognize that internal trigger, that I've had enough feeling. Second, you have to consciously break the link between the thing you want to do and some future date. And third, and this is the most important part, you just start immediately with one tiny, super manageable step. To really see the difference here, let's put these 2 mindsets right next to each other. The difference is pretty stark, right? The ritual mindset sees time in chunks and totally relies on outside dates. But the continuous mindset sees time as a flow, and it's driven by an internal need to start whenever you're genuinely ready. One of them outsources the decision to the calendar, and the other one empowers you to decide for yourself. Oh yeah, we all know this one. This is the sound of putting things off. It feels productive, like you're making a plan, but really what you're doing is giving yourself permission to not act right now. And here's the powerful flip side. The continuous mindset doesn't wait around. It just asks, what is the smallest possible thing I can do to get started right this second? It's all about grabbing that moment of motivation, no matter when it shows up. So, let's wrap this all up. What does all this actually mean for you? Where is your true starting line? So what are the big takeaways here? First, that fresh start feeling is cool, but it's not a substitute for the real deal. And remember, that real motivation is an internal signal you have to learn to listen for. Your life is just one continuous line, not a bunch of stops and starts. So the best time to begin isn't January 1st, it's the very moment you decide you're ready. And I'll just leave you with this question to think about. If a date on a calendar isn't your real starting signal, what is? What is that internal feeling, that circumstance, or that thought that really tells you, okay, it's time? Figuring that out, that's the real secret to getting started.